Are you even listening or just waiting to talk? Most leaders think their job is to speak up, give direction, and be the voice in the room. But what if the best leaders are the best listeners? In today's video, we're unpacking one of the most overlooked leadership skills and why the quietest people in the room often have the most powerful impact on their team. When you stop leading with your voice and start leading with your ears, you will move away from unclear expectations, a shallow culture, and missed insight, and then move yourself towards deeper trust, better collaboration, and leadership that actually scales. The bottom line is that listening is not passive. It's one of the most powerful, strategic, and culture shaping things you can do as a leader. If you're new here, my name is Jared, and I'm a high school teacher turned leadership coach. I help leaders develop themselves and their teams while having enough margin to be present at home. For years, I thought leadership was about being the most confident voice in the room. But it wasn't until I started to practice listening at home with my wife, to my kids, and at work to my team, my colleagues, my supervisors, even to my own self, that I began to see how everything changes when you lead by listening. Relationships deepen, alignment sharpens, trust increases, and at work, results compound. In today's video, we're going to walk through 6 reasons you ought to stop leading with your voice and start leading with your ears. Feel free to skip forward or rewind using the chapter markers I'm including below. Reason number 1 to listen more as a leader is that over-talking kills buy-in. It's not that talking is bad, it's that only talking short circuits your leadership. When you constantly speak first or speak most, 3 specific things happen. 1, you unintentionally shut down input. 2, you create a culture of passive agreement. And then 3, you rob your team of ownership and their voice. When your team feels like their ideas don't matter, or worse, won't be heard, they stop bringing those ideas. Over time, they disengage, they execute less, they avoid responsibility, and you're left wondering why nobody steps up. Over talking often comes from a good place. There's a sense of urgency or passion or care that you have about a subject, but it produces a culture of silence. And silence does not mean alignment. In fact, it often means avoidance. So now that we looked at what overtalking does to your team, you might be wondering, does talking too much do anything else? And the answer to that is found in reason number 2. Talking too much can cost you your influence. Many leaders believe their job is to have the answer, the plan, and the next move all at the same time. But over talking does the opposite of what you intend. It makes your team feel invisible. It reinforces a culture of compliance, not contribution. It signals to them, my voice matters more than yours. Eventually, like I mentioned in reason number 1, people will stop offering their best ideas. You unintentionally kill engagement. In her book, Radical Candor, author Kim Scott said, don't start by bossing people around. They'll just hate you. Start by listening to them. Or in one of my favorite leadership books called The 7 Habits to Highly Effective People, the author, Dr. Stephen Covey, says, because you really listen, you become influenceable. In other words, people start to listen to you after you listen to them. And that really is the paradox. You earn your team's trust by showing them their voice is heard and is a part of the conversation, not just yours. So now that we've looked at what overtalking does, you might be wondering, does listening do anything meaningful? And the answer to that is found in reason number 3. Listening builds real trust. Let's start with this very obvious, but sometimes neglected truth. Being heard is one of the fastest ways for you to trust somebody. When your team feels listened to, like really listened to, they're more likely to buy in, speak up, and stay engaged. Trust does not come from your charisma. It comes from your consistency, from your presence, and from your ability to make people feel safe and seen. When you lead with listening, you create space for other people to bring their full selves forward. You invite feedback, you catch red flags earlier, and you build a relational foundation that leadership actually rests on. When you stop talking and start listening, your team notices. People begin to feel heard. And that feeling isn't soft, it's the foundation of real trust. In the book, The Speed of Trust, Stephen M.R. Covey says it's vital to listen to understand first. Otherwise, you may be acting on assumptions that are totally incorrect, acting in ways that turns out to be embarrassing and counterproductive. When you lead with listening, your people are more likely to bring honest feedback and raise red flags earlier. Like I just mentioned, you catch blind spots, you build loyalty, and you show them that leadership starts with humility, not the volume of your voice. So now that we've seen that listening builds trust, you might be wondering, what else does it do for my team? And that answer is found in our next section. But before we get into our next point, I don't want you to just hear these ideas. I want to help you apply them. So I made a simple one-page guide that includes a short self-audit to help you evaluate your listening habits, a daily rhythm for you to start practicing this skill, and a team activity that hopefully starts transforming your culture. You can grab that using the link in the description below. So the fourth reason to listen more as a leader is that listening multiplies alignment. Listening is not just about empathy, it's about strategy. When you make space to hear your team, you surface better solutions, you align faster, you create clarity in the midst of chaos, and you reduce friction that comes from miscommunication or false assumptions. You also elevate the decision-making process by pulling in broader perspectives rather than just either your own or the loudest voices in the room. When you listen to people, it's not just about giving them space as well to share their views, it's about displaying respect and care for them as individuals. And that level of respect builds alignment because when people feel heard, they show up with their full selves. And again, when everyone's aligned, not just informed, but genuinely aligned, it removes second guessing. It increases people's confidence. It accelerates outcomes. It becomes less about telling people what to do and more about inviting them into a shared mission. I've tried to show you so far that listening builds trust and alignment within a team. But the next question that needs to be examined is, does listening have a larger impact beyond your immediate team? And that leads us to reason number 5, that leaders ought to listen first, is that listening shapes your culture. Your team will mimic how you show up. If you listen with intention to understand, you create a culture that listens with that same intention as well. But if you always fill the space, others will wait to speak, or worse, they'll stop speaking altogether. But when listening becomes the norm and not the exception, you build a culture of safety, curiosity, and contribution. People feel seen and respected. They start listening to each other, not just to you. In her book on management, author Kim Scott says, you have to find a way to listen that fits your personal style, and then create a culture in which everyone listens to each other so that all the burden of listening does not fall on you. You see, it starts with you, but does not end with you. The quietest leaders build the most resilient cultures, because in cultures where listening is alive, problems get surfaced faster, ideas travel further, and collaboration happens more freely. So far, we've seen the power of listening to develop trust, create team-wide alignment, and positively impact culture. The next question that we need to consider, though, is, does listening help you beyond being a leader? And that leads us to reason number 6. Listening makes you not only a better leader, but a better person. You see, when you truly listen, you're not just leading your team, you're learning from them. You discover their fears, their goals, and their insights. You lead from their strengths, not just your assumptions. You unlock depth in your relationships, both at work and at home. You learn how to adapt, adjust, and serve in ways that actually matter. Listening changes the way how you think. It softens your own pride and invites growth for you as a human being. It turns leadership from a one-way performance into a two-way relationship. In the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, John Maxwell writes, mature leaders listen, learn, and then lead. They listen to their people's stories, they pay attention to their emotions, and then they lead based upon what they've learned. You see, listening slows you down just enough to speed up what matters. And it keeps your leadership grounded in the real world, where people, not just plans, make the biggest difference. Hopefully, all of this has been inspiring for you to stop talking so much and start listening more. At this point, you might be wondering, this is all great, but how do I get started on all of this? And that's why I created a resource I mentioned earlier, and it's called the Listening Leaders Toolkit. It includes a short audit to help you evaluate your listening habits, a daily rhythm to practice this skill, and then a team activity to start transforming your culture. You can grab it using the link in the description below. In this video, we talked about a variety of reasons why leaders need to stop leading with their voice and start leading with their ears, so that you can lead with empathy, strategy, and sustainable influence. The bottom line is that listening is not passive. It's one of the most powerful, strategic, and culture-shaping things you can do as a leader. So if this resonated with you, I want to invite you to watch this next video right over here, where I share why I struggle to listen to others and what I learned as a leader. It's basically a behind-the-scenes look at how this principle played out in my real-life journey, both with my wins and my failures. And also, I talk about the lessons I learned along the way. If this is not on the screen yet, then I have not published it yet. So be sure to get subscribed to get notified when it comes out. And otherwise, I will see you guys right over here in that video.